Hello, it's me, Steady Eddie from the YouTube, and I'm back with more clickbait. Is this the most underrated MMO? Who knows? In any case, it was a highly anticipated MMO that hasn't quite retained any kind of significant player base. But in this video, I'm going to talk about how I believe it's highly underrated, while also being a complete dumpster fire. This video is going to be about Mortal Online 2, a game which is somewhat of a controversial topic. I know some people will immediately click off this video as soon as they know it's about this game. Some people will already be writing out their gourmet hot takes in the comments before they've even got to the end of the intro. Some other people will feel that familiar heartache you have for a game that you felt was going to be your perfect game, but it just didn't live up to your expectations. For some, the idea of a full loot PvP MMO in and of itself is an instant turn-off. Why would you want to constantly lose progress, farm something for hours for it to be taken away? I need to preface this video by saying, I love Mortal Online 2, but I'm very aware of its problems, and this video is going to be about those problems and what happened to Mortal Online 2 for it to be in the position it's in, and why Mortal Online 2's player base remains low despite it providing a very unique experience. I use a lot of footage from my stream in this video, so please go over to Twitch and follow me there, and do all the YouTube things like liking and subscribing here if you enjoy the video. Mortal Online 2 describes itself as a persistent sandbox world, where players fill the fantastical realm of Nave with content and unique stories, explore, gather resources, craft goods, set up trade routes, build houses, fortifications and villages, wage wars, or keep the peace. It's the full loot PvP sandbox MMO in its entirety. Beyond anything, this game is free content. Every time I stream it, I get to have stuff like this happen. But Mortal Online 2 had very shaky beginnings that it hasn't really recovered from. It was a very anticipated game. People such as Kira made videos on it, singing its praises. Josh Strife Hayes made a video on it, and he trashed it, but it showed the game to a large audience, and the people who realised it might be a game for them started following it. This is how I became aware of it personally. But the release of Mortal Online 2, well, it kinda just shit the bed. The same as every MMO release recently, upon launch there were huge queues, the queue system was dodgy, people were queuing for unreasonable hours to get in. A temporary fix to this was to create several instances of the tutorial island, so everyone was at least able to experience a snippet of the game. But queues for the mainland still existed. People who did get to the mainland were complaining about lag and were randomly getting kicked out, as well as a plethora of bugs which I'll get onto later. Although all of these problems existed, problems that are pretty common for MMO launches at the moment, it at least meant that there were a large number of players trying the game, right? Well, no, the most players it ever saw was 10,000. Only a maximum of 10,000 people were ever trying to get into the game. And yes, 10,000 players is still quite a large amount of players, but the thing is that it shouldn't have been a problem, not just because it's kind of a reasonable amount of people for an MMO to hold, but also because this is the amount that the dev team were anticipating. They said themselves they want the game to be able to hold infinite players. They also said on a stream 10k was what they were anticipating. Just as a note, the article where they said infinite players has since been deleted. 10,000 players was supposed to be their normal number, but they were struggling. In the end, they made 4 different instances of the mainland with the intention to eventually merge them. The problem with this is that to do it, it meant that certain things weren't possible on the alt instances, such as building houses. This difference between the main servers and the alt servers also created a load of bugs. Your items were supposed to be shared between all servers, but for some reason things like pets and mounts weren't shared. Items were going missing. Then duplication exploits started appearing. Duplication exploits seem to be a constant battle in this game. Due to the delicate nature of the economy and the purposeful rarity of certain materials, any kind of duplication glitch is incredibly dangerous. You will be pleased to hear that the majority of players actively hold anyone who exploits and disdain, but it doesn't stop those few who want to gain an unfair advantage from doing it. Beyond all the bugs, exploits, duping, lag, the main thing that happened upon release is that the game just didn't feel finished. It was missing a lot of the key features that was supposed to be a part of the game. Things like territory control and sieging. It's one of the things that was supposed to make Mortal Online 2 so intense and immersive, but it's still not in the game. They are slowly adding things in, and Henrik, the game's director, has a weekly stream where he's very open about the plans for the game. One of the things at the moment is adding boats and naval combat, but there's no real due date for any of these additions. They're just kind of done when they're done. Mortal Online 2 will eventually be sub to play, as it has absolutely no in-game cash shop, not even cosmetics. Star Vault have said this is because they don't want to adjust the immersiveness of the game world with out-of-the-world cosmetics, and also because being able to recognize what your enemy is wearing and judging whether to engage with them based on that is part of the skill ceiling of this game. The developers aren't going to back down on this sub, however they have rightly made the decision to postpone it until the game is in better shape. With all this in mind, the game has currently just under 1,000 average players over a 30-day period, which is actually up by about 300 over the last 3 months, probably returning players after the game has been fixed enough that they are willing to come back. This isn't actually that bad considering there were 10,000 people at launch, retaining about 10% of the people that initially played seems to be about average for MMO launches at the moment, but it also goes to show how small the niche for a game like this is. I think everyone who's just into the idea simply of a sandbox MMO experience will have tried this game, because it's one of the only new MMOs around that's doing it. And so to have player numbers this low, and okay, they're lower than they could be because of the bugs and the problems it has, it's still kind of worrying. Even if the game reached its maximum potential, what would that maximum player base be? Let's talk about full loot PvP, something that drives a lot of people away. I really truly believe that although this is a full loot PvP game, that if you're not a PvPer, you can still play this game. RPKers, meaning players that just randomly kill anyone and everyone, seem to be kind of a minority in the game, and almost everyone I meet seems willing to help, group up, provide you with knowledge, resources. There's a lot of mechanisms in place in the game that discourage RPK and protects new players, such as a reputation system. For example, when you attack an innocent player, you get marked as a criminal. If you then kill the innocent player, that player can then report their own death and you lose reputation in the area you're in. If you lose too much reputation, then you can't enter a town without getting killed by the guards. The only way to gain reputation is to do NPC given delivery tasks between towns. These are kind of boring to do, and usually people only do them if they're naturally going to the next town anyway. There are lawless towns with no guards in, which means that if you just want to RPK, then you're likely going to be based in one of these lawless towns where people fight all the time, and you don't have access to the best trade brokers, and you become the enemy of a lot of people. Some people do play these RPK type characters, but the vast majority of people, mainly just through human nature, don't want to aimlessly kill you. Everything in Mortal Online 2 takes a lot of time, and people are generally respectful of this. Most people join a guild. It's highly encouraged as a new player to do so. It helps you learn quicker, and people will give you decent gear and gold to give you a good start. Within a guild, you also have protection, and a lot of players I've talked to know they're not really fighters, so instead they concern themselves with crafting, making gold and gear for the guild. Some people are good talkers and concern themselves with the politics side of the game, making deals with other guilds for resources, making alliances or enemies. Because of location-based resources, becoming a master crafter in any profession means travelling across the world to get certain books and materials. There's even a town called Toxai, which is known to be a relatively peaceful area as it's good for fishing, and there's been an effort to keep it that way, for people that just want to chill and not worry about PvP at all, while still enjoying some of the mechanics of the game. It also means that as you become wealthier and wealthier, it's less and less important when you die. Think about a game like Minecraft. Once you have several sets of diamond armor and enchantment books, it doesn't really matter when you die, you just go into your chest and get your next set of armor out. This is kind of how it works in Mortal Online 2. You just don't travel with what you don't want to lose. You get the idea from the way that I'm talking about this game, is that it's mainly about other people and your interactions with them. Like some older MMOs, the game sometimes feels like it's just a catalyst for online social interaction. Last week I made a video about the rise of solo players in MMOs, and a lot of people, I think rightly, pointed out in the comments that with the rise of social media, the need for an MMO that's basically a vessel for social interaction is no longer as craved or as needed as it was in the past. But the difference is that on social media you aren't talking about swords, crafting or wars, and in this game you do. I never thought myself an RPer, but you just can't help but end up RPing in this game, purely because of the nature of it. Mortal Online 2 is a dumpster fire. It's buggy. There's exploits, there's lag, there's performance issues. The world sometimes feels empty. There's floating cows, you get aimlessly ganked sometimes. The UI is clunky, the combat looks weird. Mobs get stuck in walls, but god damn it, this game is incredible. It's given me something that I haven't felt in a game for years. The pure freedom to do what I want. The most hilarious social interactions, politics, battles, in-depth crafting, beautiful valleys, mountains, forests. Play as a merchant, a crafter, a bard, a fighter, a criminal. Join a guild and conquer the world. Yes, this is a full loop PvP game, but it's so much more than that. And I beg you, if it interests you in the slightest, to just give it a go. The more players this game has, the more alive the world becomes, the better the game gets. And the game's downfall will ultimately be when it doesn't have enough players to fill its own world. And I know there's going to be a lot of comments either from burnt out Mortal Online 2 players or from people that just venomously hate the idea of the game. And to you I say, just let a guy love something for once. Thank you for watching. See you next time.
Like and subscribe, please. Please, I need you to like and subscribe, please. I'm begging you. I'm begging you.